Hello, race fans. Cam Cullen here. You're about to listen to an excerpt of our conversation with CEO of jconcepts, Jason Rona. On screen will be classic RRL backyard racing from when it all began. To find our full race video with Rona, please click the links in the description. Otherwise, enjoy. I did a little deep diving on your jconcepts live page on YouTube, being a YouTuber.
Yeah,
I saw some of your oldest videos were actually featured from the Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Series. So you seem to have a bit of a love for short course going back a little bit or something along those lines. What's your relationship with these short course trucks like? And how do you see these Pro 2s and Pro 4s developing?
well, what ended up, I think, being the key for us is, as many people, when the Traxxas Slash came out, and Traxxas is a big name in the business. They were, I believe, at the time, a lot of individuals in the industry mentioned that the economy wasn't spectacular at that time, and the Traxxas Slash came out. They were $200 to $230 truck ready to run. They kind of hit on something. The look, the feel, some of the bashing that goes on with the vehicles people seem to like, and it really exploded in the industry during that time. I want to say it was like 08, 9, 10, 11, that range was really exploding. We kind of got in with some early Slash bodies. We had the Truth and Dare. There was a couple bodies we had, and Associated got into the game with the SC10. I know they were pretty quick right after Traxxas having one. They had some relationships with the Lucas Oil group. They started attending those Lucas Oil events, and I think we went to 2 of them in those days. Watched the different racers running. Associated had a relationship at that time with several of the teams, and then they were packaging and putting their vehicles together with the licensing from the real trucks, and it was a really good time in RC. That was a real kind of a golden age of short course in a sense when it was getting going. The vehicles were coming with these licensed bodies, and sometimes it was Lucas Oil, or I think they had Rockstar.
I remember the Rockstar. I think it was like a Brian Deegan based body. One of the racers here, Brent Post, he was always beating us with the SC10 back in the early 2010s.
Yeah, and we kind of followed it very closely. The class was always very good to us. We came out with the Goosebump tires very early in the game. Then, the double Ds and the barcodes, and our subculture tire actually made it into the kit on some of the early SC10s. And I think that we were very all in on the category at that time because you kind of had to be. 10 scale racing kind of revolved around the popularity of this class and where it was going. Then we got into the 4x4s. Slash 4x4 came out, then Associated worked on the SC10 4x4. Not long after that, there was a Durango, there was a Losi, a little later the Techno. But the 4x4 also had a lot of potential, but I don't know that anything ever really topped the beginning of the 2-wheel short course. I think due to costs and the timing was just right. And Associated, the SC10 4x4 was a good truck, but they really went for it with the design, with the double transmission setup and the belts, and that thing was very complicated, but it was actually a really cool truck when you look at it even today. But I think from their perspective, it wasn't as successful as they wanted it to be. It seemed like later the Losi, which was an 8-scale platform, and the Technos, more of an 8-scale platform, seemed to work out well. The Traxxas was still the better seller in the market just because of their ability to put them together at a little better cost. But yeah, that's kind of the beginnings, I guess. Since then, on a professional racing level, there hasn't been as much Pro 2 and Pro 4 on a professional level as there was in that time frame, but they still maintain their popularity as probably the best entry-level vehicles to purchase. If you're going to get into RC, these 2-wheel and 4-wheel short course trucks seem to be really the ones that are the entry-level vehicles, and they kind of transition well from driveway, yard, grass, gravel to, if you want to run on a track like we're running here, you can kind of do it all with one vehicle. I see them staying in the market for quite a while. I think it's got its place. Brian Mayfield's a racer for us and over the years, and he loves trophy trucks. And, these things kind of share some similarities with some trophy trucks, and maybe they could be repackaged at some point as more of a trophy truck. The bodies could be a little bit different. Some other things could be a little different, and essentially the same type of racing, but the truck could undergo some tweaks and the bodies, and maybe it could be more of a trophy truck inspiration. Maybe that's something you could see down the road, because those trophy trucks, they're amazing when you see them in the desert and stuff. I have this theory that there's going to be a point in 10 scale, which I think the short course is 10 scale, that at some point there might need to be a reboot of kind of how it's being done, because we kind of have a big difference now with the surface. You can see that, we're having the race on today versus how advanced the conditions are, like say the race we just ran at the Clash of Champions, or before that, the big carpet race at Beachline, the Florida Carpet Championships. I think the situation is we're really kind of running into 3 or 4 different pretty major condition changes in 1/10 off-road. And the newest car like coming out, the Associated's going to have a B7. Down the road, there's going to be new TLRs and new 10 scale buggies, but they're very much designed for highly manicured tracks. It's putting a B7 on the track that these short courses are on here can be done, no question, but it's not, in my opinion, it's not really made for this track. Down the road, I could kind of see us having more, as real estate becomes more expensive and it's tougher to have indoor tracks, maybe more backyard tracks will start to become common again. And then you're talking about a whole different level of conditions. Part of outdoor racing is you always have to work on the track because of the weather. If you have this big monster track, then nobody ever wants to work on it because it's such an undertaking. I kind of see that the possibility in the future for sort of like a reboot, maybe some more backyard outdoor tracks coming back into the picture, maybe some different dirt conditions where the vehicles will have to be designed for those a little bit more closely. And I think we'll be off to the races if that really happens in terms of the industry, because I think we've gone so far on one end right now that it is such professional level looking and competition, and that's great. But I think there is a need, and sort of the backbone of this could always be some outdoor or real dirt racing.
A rut, like something like that. The track maybe being the extra racer of the race, so to speak. Right. Kind of external factor.
Yeah. So I think that we're going to see that. I think that at some point that's going to happen. 8 scale racing is very big at the moment. They're primarily outdoors. Obviously, big races, they like to run indoor at some of these large major weekend throwdown events because you don't have to worry about the weather, and they're trying to get 700-800 entries through. They can't have weather problems. But in general, that's what I'm looking for in 10 scales, to kind of get this reboot in a sense where we could incorporate some vehicle design differences for those conditions. And then that would kind of lend itself to the short course trucks again. And maybe another nice 4x4 short course or trophy truck that could be run outside. And it just, to me, it can be done.
So you wouldn't rule out potentially sponsoring a backyard series world tour in like 2034?
Correct. Yep.
I drive an SC10. Wasn't ready to run kit. I'm running jconcept Rulix with jconcept subcultures in the rear, Proline snipers in the front. I have the threaded chalk upgrade kit. I have a Mamba Max brushless system, 2700 kilovolt system. I have a DX3S Spectrum remote with telemetry, stock servo,